back to Raising Men. If you watched or listened to our episode earlier this week, you know that Marc Krusin is an expert in staying relaxed and staying present. And this is something that I struggle greatly with. And so I have asked Marc for this little short episode to walk me through a guided meditation. And we're just going to do it live for you guys right now, and we'll see what happens. Marc, the floor is yours. I'm a little bit trepidatious about this, but I'm excited to get going. I want to learn a lot more about what you do.
Cool. Hi again, Shaun. Yeah, thanks for inviting me to do this. It's an honor, really, actually, and a pleasure. So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
We're going to start, as I was mentioning, we're going to start with we're going to do 5. This meditation is going to be sort of broken down into 5 little sections. And we're going to start with just a very simple breathing exercise. It's nothing new, but it just helps relax the body a little bit. So what we're going to do, I'm going to explain it first and then we'll do it. But it's just very simple. We breathe in for 4 counts. We hold at the top for 4 counts. And then we breathe out 4 counts. And we hold at the bottom for 4 counts. All right? So I'll guide you through that.
Okay.
We'll do it a few times.
Great.
You can close your eyes, actually. That's not a bad idea.
All right.
Okay, so breathe in. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Breathe out. 2, 3. Breathe in. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3. Okay. We can open our eyes.
All right. And if you're listening to this right now, you should definitely try this while we're doing it together. It's quite an experience. You have to try it. You have to do it to get to see what it's like.
All right, cool. So if anyone's been doing that, hopefully now the body feels a little bit more relaxed. We can take another couple of deep breaths, just eyes open, deep and profound, and let it all go. Once more, and let it all go. All right, now we're going to do an exercise which is called watching the mind. So we're going to do this with our eyes closed, and what we're going to do is simply observe our thoughts and count them. All right, so every single thought that appears when we have our eyes closed, we just count it. So why am I doing this? That's 1. What am I going to do next? That's 2. I'm feeling uncomfortable. That's 3. You get it? And so on. Everything that comes up, we just count it and we let it go. All right? So we're going to do that for about, I'd say, a minute, no longer. And just be very easy with it. Don't start wondering if you've counted enough, if you missed one or whatever. That doesn't matter. Just count the ones that you're aware of. Okay? So let's just close our eyes. Close our eyes. Let all thoughts come. Don't push any away. Doesn't matter if you lose track of the number. Just keep going where you thought you got to. And let's gently open our eyes. How many thoughts were there?
I kind of lost track, but it started off really, really fast, and I was just ratcheting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it was almost like I was suppressing the thoughts up until the point where you said, "Don't do that." Like, don't push it's like I was pushing them down, and so I ended up with a count of 13, which I was surprised. I thought it would be a lot more than that. My mind just races when in my normal state of being.
Yeah, cool. And that's exactly how it works. Is because we're becoming aware of our thoughts, right? Which is a big, big difference. So we think we are our thoughts. We think that what we're thinking is literally us. But when we start to have the intention to observe them, that means that if we're observing them, they can't be us, right? We are the consciousness that observes them. So we are not our thoughts. And as soon as we have the intention to become aware of them, they automatically slow down a bit. We're the still presence that's observing them. And they come up and they go, and they come up and they go. So this is the big difference, The big difference is that we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness that can observe them.
Yeah, that's a really profound observation, and it's pretty interesting what happens. I mean, I was surprised I mean, like I said, my mind just constantly races. It feels like it feels like a hamster on a treadmill. And but it kind of like it was like the act of being observed made them shy.
Hmm.
And then they weren't coming as much. And that's a unique experience for me.
Hmm. Yeah, cool. Yeah, the average human being thinks about 90,000 thoughts a day, I believe. So that's a lot.
Yeah, that
But
sounds
all
right.
it takes is the intention to become aware and observe, and yeah, that will automatically slow, or it won't, maybe sometimes. But the important thing is to just allow it.
Yeah, and I think I feel this urge to put a value statement on that, right? I like okay, well, am I thinking too much or am I thinking too little? Or but I mean the what I'm getting from you is that's not part of it, right? It in fact you need to be non-judgmental about it, and you need to. It's just an observation. Just there's the thing. That thing is 2 feet long, and it doesn't matter. It's not supposed to be anything different than 2 feet. It's not supposed to be 2 feet. It's just there's no suppose. It just is the thing, and that's all right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, and in fact, what we're going to do now is we're just going to close our eyes quite briefly, and we're just going to observe the thoughts. So, no counting this time. We're just going to do exactly the same thing, but we're not going to count them. All right. So we'll just close our eyes and allow the thoughts to come. Notice them. Ideally, don't hang on to them and make them bigger. Just notice them. Allow them. Let them be aware of what's being presented to you right now in your mind. What's coming up? How attentive can you be? Can you be attentive to the space that exists between thoughts? What's that like? Allow everything to be as it is. Many thoughts, great. No thoughts, great. Neither one is better than the other. No need to get caught up in that. It's just the experience as it is. We allow it, whatever it is. All right, and let's gently open the eyes.
There was an interesting thing that happened to me just then, which is that on a number of occasions I would have some thoughts come in and then I would start chasing them.
Mm-hmm.
And the visualization that occurred to me was last week I went on vacation to Utah and ended up riding the ski lift to the top of a mountain. It's, springtime, so there's no snow. But so I'm standing on the top of a what would be a bowl in ski season. But now it's just grass. And I'm, it's on the top of the mountain, and it feels scarier when there's no snow for some reason. And I'm looking down over this bowl, and that's what it was like with the thoughts. It was like when I'm being observant of them, it's like I'm just looking over the bowl. And oh, well, there's, one path, and there's another path, and there's another path. But then, my reflex is that the thought occurs to me and then I just go chase it down. Oh, I've got to figure out what I'm doing next. And so, I'm going to have to drive to this place and do this. And then I'm going to have this meeting and all that stuff. And I start going down the slope. And then I realized, no, wait, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm supposed to be just standing on the lip of the bowl, just watching the different paths I could take. And that was the metaphor that occurred to me as I was going through that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, I love that because it's actually just illustrating the fact that we are the observer. We're observing. And that's all the difference in the world. And the more we become the observer, the more we come back to being the observer, the easier it becomes, the more natural it becomes as a mechanism within us. And that's all it takes, really. It's just about training an awareness muscle to come back from the vortex of thought to just a state of presence.
Yeah. It goes back to what you were saying, is that we are not our thoughts. We are the entity that observes our thoughts, and we can dive into it when we want to. But that is something that we get to choose to do, and that means that you can control what your reactions are. You can control what your thoughts are. You can control those things if you choose to do that, and if your muscle is strong enough. And I can see how that would really be helpful, like in the day-to-day grind of being able to stay detached if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
But also being able to dive in and, roll your sleeves up and get into the fray as well.
Right. Yeah, and we can only come back when we remember to, right? So we can be lost in thought, and that that's no deal. It's not your fault because you're lost in it. The only time you can become aware is when you realize that you have that choice, right? A lot of people beat themselves up because they've been lost in thought for 20 minutes, following a useless trail of thought, and they know it's not serving them. And, oh, why was I, so lost for 20 minutes? But you were lost, so there was nothing you could do. As soon as you become aware, right, it's not your fault. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
become aware, just come back to this moment.
Yeah, there's so much judgment. Man, and my brain absolutely does this. It's everything. It applies a value judgment to it, and that's an important aspect of the skill, I would imagine, is just being able to release that value judgment and just like let it go and not impose it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to do the last phase now of this guided meditation. This is more profound, really. It builds on what we've done to this point. And it is just about, we're just playing with that awareness muscle again, all right? Awareness is something that it can seem a bit abstract as a concept, but it's really just noticing. It's about noticing. So anyone can notice something. So if I were to say now, notice your big toe, your right big toe, you wouldn't have a problem at all with that. It's the easiest thing, right? So we're going to do something similar. We're going to close our eyes first time round, and we're just going to notice our left knee. Just let your attention be on your left knee. So obviously you don't have to look at it. You can just let your attention be there. We've got our eyes closed. You can't look at it anyway. But allow your attention to rest on your left knee. Don't force it. Just gently allow it to rest there. Now let your awareness be on the back of your head, or notice the back of your head, to say it more simply. Now notice your whole body. Let your awareness be on your whole body. Gently, easily, softly. Don't force it. Another way to put it would be to just have your awareness on your body, your attention on your body. Now, let your awareness be on the space that's between you and whatever you're listening to this podcast on. So whether it's the speaker in your car, the speaker at home, a device that you've got in front of you, just let your awareness be on the space that exists between yourself and your device, on the space between those two things. Our awareness is so often on the content, the object, but now we're letting our awareness or our attention rest on the space between ourselves and the object, between ourselves and our device or our speaker, or whatever it may be. Again, don't force it, just allow it to be there. And it's not precise, you don't have to get it right. There's no getting it right, actually. Just let your attention be there, however that may look. All right, so now we're going to let our attention be on the space within the entire room, or if you're in a car, the space within the entire car. Again, allow your attention, your awareness to gently rest on that space. How lovely, how peaceful to just allow our awareness to be there. We're not forcing our awareness, we're not forcing our minds to do anything, we're just allowing it to rest, our attention to rest on the space around us. Our minds are very thankful for this, because they don't get a lot of chance to just rest. Okay, and now we're going to notice that this moment is happening. This moment is happening right now, and it's still happening, and there's no escaping this moment. This moment is actually all there is, and it's all there ever is. This moment is golden, perfect just as it is. We can't resist it, because it is here, and it is happening. So to resist it is futile. Allow it, notice it, embrace it, love it. Or if you can't love it, just be okay with not loving it. That's fine too. No need to force anything. All we're doing here is being aware. And let's gently open our eyes, and we'll keep our awareness on this moment. Just allow our awareness to stay here, this moment as it's happening right now. Easy
peasy. Wow. When I was in high school, it felt like a real superpower to be able to multitask. And, it was kind of like, oh, how many things could I get going on at once? And that was the measure of how productive I could be, or how smart I was, or those sorts of things. And as I became an adult, I realized that was not a powerful thing. There's a cost to context switching. And the real power, the real strength was in being able to isolate one thing and work on it obsessively until it was totally complete, and then move on to the next thing, and then obsessively work on that thing. And I feel like there's a similar kind of misconception about our thoughts that, I mean, I feel like thinking a lot of thoughts and thinking fast, and that's what intelligence is. That's what productivity is with respect to, my brain. And what there's another thing there, which is it's like that context switching thing. There is a cost to being immersed in the forest of thoughts. And that cost, there's a real strength and a real skill in being able to withdraw from that and look at the top of the forest and see the way that the paths go in there. And then you can dive into the forest and be more efficient about how fast your thoughts are going. And that's something that I think is really worth getting good at. And it's not, I feel like I've resisted it a lot. I feel like, this kind of meditation and mindfulness practice and all of that exists in some other place that isn't applicable to me. But I think I'm wrong about that. I think I would really benefit from honing that skill a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can say from personal experience, I used to be a huge thinker too, and I realized that a lot of those thoughts were not really helping. I thought it was fundamental. I thought my intellectuality was my highest quality, but
Yeah.
the reality is that solutions come in a moment where we're much more spontaneous. It's much more intuitive. We have an intuitive knowing that the solution, what it may be.
Yeah.
And that, or and the presence allows us to just be infinitely more efficient and effective in terms of our thinking and in terms of our tasks and in terms of our workflow. But relationships too, we're aware all of a sudden of the people around us and how they're reacting.
Yeah.
I'd say the benefits are, myriad, really.
Yeah. Well, Marc, thank you so much for introducing me to this gentle introduction. I definitely am interested in learning more. Tell me more about tell us again where I can look into what you're doing and get involved in some way. How do people find you?
Yeah, well, the meditation we teach the organization is the Bright Path is Shires. So the brightpath.com is the website. So it's easy to find a course on that in your local area. We do online introductory courses. You could email myself directly, marc@markkrusin.com, and we can get in touch that way.
That sounds great. Well, and I'll put all of those links in the show notes so that people can find them easily. Marc, thanks again for doing this.
Great,
Thank you, my friend. Good talking to you.
Yeah, thanks so much again for inviting me on to do this. Been a pleasure.